Art has always been a reflection of human creativity and expression, but sometimes it gets really weird. Today we're diving into some of the weirdest art movements ever, ones that will leave you wondering what the artists were thinking. And if you're up for it, stick around to see if I can create my own bizarre masterpiece inspired by these mind-bending movements. I have to admit, it's not always easy to understand or appreciate these unconventional art movements. They often confuse or alienate mainstream audiences, leaving us scratching our heads and asking, is this really art? But that's exactly what makes them so fascinating. They challenge our perceptions, push boundaries, and force us to think differently about what art can be. One of the biggest hurdles to understanding weird art movements is that they often reject traditional notions of beauty, technique, and even coherence. These artists might use unconventional materials like trash, bodily fluids, or even decaying organic matter, or explore taboo subjects like death, decay, or the grotesque. And sometimes they're just plain bizarre, leaving us unsure of what to make of them. But despite the initial shock or discomfort, weird art movements can also be incredibly thought-provoking and emotionally powerful. They tap into our deep-seated fears, desires, and anxieties, revealing aspects of ourselves we might not want to confront. This is what makes them so important. They challenge us to confront the unknown, the uncomfortable, and the unconventional. Weird art isn't just about being strange for the sake of it. It's a way for artists to communicate profound ideas, question societal norms, and express truths that might be too difficult or taboo to address directly. And as we delve deeper into these movements, you'll see just how transformative they can be. Let's start with Dadaism, one of the most influential and strangest art movements of the 20th century. Emerging as a reaction to the chaos and destruction of World War I, Dadaists like Hugo Ball and Hannah Hawk used collage, montage, and absurd performances to create works that were deliberately provocative and anti-aesthetic. Dadaism was a direct challenge to the traditional values of beauty and harmony. Instead, it embraced absurdity, chaos, and randomness, reflecting a world that had seemingly lost its sense of order and meaning. In many ways, Dadaism was less about creating beautiful objects and more about making a statement, often a very chaotic, confusing, and powerful one. Next up is Surrealism, a movement that took weirdness to a whole new level by exploring the world of dreams and the subconscious. Artists like Salvador Dali and René Magritte created fantastical and unsettling works that blurred the lines between reality and fantasy. Surrealism wasn't just about depicting strange images, it was about tapping into the collective unconscious, revealing the dark, irrational forces that shape our desires, fears, and perceptions. The result? Art that feels like a dream, or perhaps a nightmare, forcing us to confront the strange and irrational parts of our own minds. If surrealism blurred the lines between reality and fantasy, body art obliterated the boundary between art and life itself. In this movement, the human body became the ultimate canvas, an instrument of expression that could be pushed to physical and emotional extremes. Artists like Marina Abramović and Chris Burden used their own bodies to create works that were both beautiful and disturbing. They tested the limits of endurance, pain, and vulnerability, creating art that was deeply personal, visceral, and often shocking. Body art challenges us to rethink the boundaries of art, questioning what it means to create and experience art through the most intimate medium possible, our own flesh. And now, let's delve into one of the weirdest and most intense art movements I've discovered, Vorticism. This short-lived but powerful movement emerged in London during the early 20th century, reflecting the chaos and anxiety of modern urban life. Vorticist artists like Wyndham Lewis and Jacob Epstein created works that were deliberately aggressive, fragmented, and dissonant. Their art was a visual assault, an attempt to capture the frenetic energy and mechanical brutality of the modern world. One of the most shocking pieces of Vorticist art is Lewis's Timon of Athens, a series of abstracted Cubist-inspired portraits that seem to scream with fury and angst. It's like nothing you've ever seen before, and it's hard not to feel a visceral reaction when confronted with it. Now that we've explored some of the weirdest art movements in history, it's time to put what we've learned into practice. I'm going to try my hand at creating my own bizarre masterpiece, drawing inspiration from Dadaism, Surrealism, body art, and Vorticism. It's not about making something traditionally beautiful or even understandable. It's about pushing boundaries, embracing the weird, and expressing something raw and honest. Whether it turns out to be a masterpiece or a complete mess, the process itself is what's truly important. So, what did we learn today? Weird art movements might be bizarre, confusing, or even repulsive, but they're also essential to the broader art landscape. They challenge us, inspire us, and sometimes even shock us into seeing the world in a new and different way. Creating my own piece was a wild experience. It pushed me out of my comfort zone and made me appreciate the creative risks that these artists took. It might not be everyone's cup of tea, but that's what makes art so fascinating. It's all about personal expression and interpretation. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the weirdest art movements ever. If you've got a favorite weird art movement, share it with us in the comments below. And if you want to see more videos like this, let me know what you'd like to explore next. Maybe we can even create our own bizarre masterpiece together. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Fact Frenzy for more mind-bending explorations into the world of art, history, and beyond. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.